In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to find the perpendicular bisectors for an obtuse triangle. Now, as I mentioned in my earlier video about the perpendicular bisectors, the point where all of the perpendicular bisectors meet, which is the circumcenter, can be inside of the triangle, on the triangle, or somewhere outside of the triangle. So I'm going to show you what happens when we are dealing with an obtuse triangle. So again, a perpendicular bisector is a segment that goes through the midpoint of a side and is perpendicular to that side. So the way that I'm choosing to do this is to measure each side, find the midpoint that way, and then I will construct or draw a line that's perpendicular. So if I measure this side, this looks to be about 7.5 centimeters. So I'm going to be just a little more than 3.5. So my midpoint should be right about here. I'm going to use my note card because the note card has a right angle here, and I know that a right angle will give me perpendicular lines. So I'm going to use my note card and slide that along the bottom side of my triangle until it lines up with my midpoint. And then I will draw in the perpendicular bisector. So that's perpendicular to the original side of my triangle and it bisects it. So I've got two congruent parts. I'm going to do that for each side of my triangle. So again, I'm going to measure over here. This looks to be about 10.5. So about 5.25 would be halfway. Okay, that's perpendicular there. And those two sides are congruent. And one more, we've got the long side here. That one is just shy of 15. So half of 15 is going to be 7.5, so we're going to be a little bit short of 7.5. Right around here. Line this up with the side of my triangle and keep moving it until it lines up with that midpoint. And I'm going to draw that perpendicular bisector in right there. So that's perpendicular, and then that made that side from here to here congruent from that point to this point here. Okay, so now each of our sides has had the perpendicular bisector drawn in. Now you'll notice that the perpendicular bisectors don't intersect. That's okay, because the other thing you might notice is that they all seem to be converging at some point that's outside here of our triangle. So I'm going to take my note card again and line those up with my perpendicular bisectors. I'm just going to extend those outside of my triangle. And go through one at a time. Do that for each one of my perpendicular bisectors. I'm just going to extend them outside of the triangle, and we should notice that they intersect out here. And there we go. We found the point where all three of the perpendicular bisectors intersect. That is the circumcenter, and for an obtuse triangle, that's going to happen outside of the triangle.